A question that I am often asked is why I quit my job as a lawyer and decided to become a teacher. So in 2000, I was actually asked by an editor of a magazine to write an article with my answer to that question, and I did. It was never published because he thought it was too cerebral. But I am going to read that article today. So Albert Einstein once said, "I cannot believe that God would choose to play dice with the universe." This powerful statement points to the fundamental aspiration of the Western mind, the aspiration to know the truth. When I graduated from high school, this aspiration guided me as I started university in a physics program. I wanted to uncover and understand the truth. At the time, I thought that science was the most appropriate academic discipline in which to strive towards this goal. After all, science is oriented towards observing, conceptualizing, and then describing the nature of things in reality, the relationships between them, and the principles that govern their actions and behavior. Essentially, I wanted to learn the law of nature, the law that dictates what will happen with certainty rather than a roll of the dice. Setting out on this endeavor, I saw myself as a philosopher, trying to free myself from the Platonic cave of illusion. In the Republic, Plato shares a parable that describes humans as being prisoners in a cave where they see only the shadows of real objects cast upon the wall of the cave. To Plato, the role of the philosopher is to liberate themselves from the cave and strive to see things as they really are. In the course of seeking this elusive truth, I discovered that science often represents wisdom without compassion. The very objectivity that I sought as part of my quest for truth seemed to stand between me and the problems of the world. With the characteristic idealism of a new university student, I wanted to make a difference in the world. I expanded my search for the truth to include the truth about politics, justice, and human relations. What is the best way for humans to live together? In what way can we best approximate justice in the human sphere? So, somewhat unwisely in hindsight, I applied to law school and undertook that endeavor at the age of 19. My goal in going to law school paralleled my goal in studying physics. I wanted to learn and understand the principles that could be applied to human relations in order to make those relations just. The assumption that such principles exist is called legal positivism, and this doctrine is rooted in the same soil as the scientific quest for objective truth about the natural world, that of Western reason. Western reason is always seeking to pin facts and principles down with certainty to establish the truth of the matter. In the law, this tendency is represented by the rule of law, or the idea that the law is applied in an ideologically neutral fashion. To me, this seemed like a noble goal worth striving for. Unfortunately, I discovered a schism in legal theory that revealed this pursuit as unattainable. Franz Kafka said, "Our laws are not generally known. They are kept secret by the small group of nobles who rule us. We are convinced that these ancient laws are scrupulously administered. Nevertheless, it is an extremely painful thing to be ruled by laws that one does not know." This statement represents a certain despair about the nature of the law's application to us. In law school, I got a sense of this despair, and then I discovered its origins. This despair is rooted in the contrary position to legal positivism, legal realism. Legal realism might more properly be called legal skepticism because it holds that objective principles cannot be neutrally applied to disputes between humans with competing interests. In order for a third party to resolve such disputes, that third party must weigh in and take sides on the issue. Even if the law has articulated governing principles, their application is fundamentally ambiguous and contingent. Accordingly, the side one takes depends on one's moral and political inclinations. Therefore, to legal realists, there is no such thing as the rule of law. Judges do not find the law, they make law. The law is invariably a text that needs to be interpreted and applied. Due to the interpretive possibilities that attend the application of such a text into any particular case, the law is not really knowable or capable of objective application. Over the course of my legal career, I saw much evidence in support of legal realism, and despite my attraction to the idea that there must exist a set of objective principles about justice that can govern human relations in a fair and impartial way, I have seen no evidence in support of legal positivism. After my call to the bar, I decided to practice criminal defense law because I saw there an opportunity to help people experiencing oppression, poverty, and hopelessness. I wanted to advocate for people at the margins of society, to even the playing field between the often oppressed accused and the omnipotent state. However, practicing criminal defense law on a day-to-day basis provides little opportunity to actually help people make their lives better. Many of my clients were caught in the revolving door of recidivism, unable, because of circumstances ranging from debilitating poverty to addiction, to extricate themselves from the system despite all efforts to that end. Even more frustrating were those clients that didn't see the need to extricate themselves from the criminal justice system. These clients attempted to manipulate the system and to work within it, not seeing that this was neither in their interest nor in the interests of society as a whole. When I started to represent young offenders who fell into the second category, I started to consider another change of career direction. Mahatma Gandhi said, "If we are to reach real peace in this world, we shall have to begin with the children." I discovered that my aspirations for a just and compassionate society could be applied to the classroom, so I decided to quit my job as a lawyer and go back to school to become a school teacher. Immanuel Kant described a kind of generalized golden rule that he called the categorical imperative. Kant's ethical aspiration that people treat each other according to this categorical imperative as a kingdom of ends rather than as means to an end implies a requirement of meaningful discussion and dialogue. To treat someone with ultimate respect as a subject deserving of as much respect as you need to enter into a dialogue with that person, listening to understand them rather than imposing your views and agenda on what you hear. In Pedagogy of the Oppressed, Brazilian educator Paulo Freire conceived of a pedagogical approach that implements this idea by viewing education as a mutual process. He framed education as a liberation project that has the potential to allow people to discover their humanity and free them from oppression. Framing the educational enterprise as a dialogical process in this way holds promise for inculcating in students respect for others and themselves and teaching them to participate in their relationships with others in a mutually beneficial, peaceful, and just way. Perhaps more importantly, I had discovered a need to experience the truth in my own life, rather than in Plato's world of ideal forms that exist separate from the real world. Plato's parable about the prisoners in the cave illustrates this dangerous Western idea that the truth transcends or exists apart from our everyday experiences, and we are doomed to be forever separated from it, trapped in a world of illusion. It turns out that contrary to this deep-seated Western aspiration to transcend the world, I rather wanted to root my aspirations in the actuality of my life rather than to transcend my life. The Buddhist Zen monk Thich Nhat Hanh said, "The miracle is not to walk on water. The miracle is to walk on the green earth in the present moment, to appreciate the peace and beauty that are available now." To me, teaching children offers the opportunity to touch the world of truth that exists in the world of everyday experiences, to be able to see a child's smile of understanding or hear the simple laughter of joy. As it turns out, to be able to justify my chosen vocation as a way of making the world a better and more compassionate place is just icing on the cake.